Hey there, fellow explorer, and welcome to a special Espirito edition of the Deep Dive.
Espirito.
Yeah, Espirito Deep, you could say.
I like that.
You know, it's Italian for expert, so we're
Ah,
taking our expertise to the next level for you today.
I'm.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Let's do it.
Today we're heading to Mexico, to the Yucatan Peninsula, to explore one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world.
Chichen Itza.
Exactly. Now, I know a lot of you have probably heard of Chichen Itza, maybe even seen pictures of that incredible pyramid, El Castillo.
Oh yeah, it's iconic.
But trust me, there's way more to this place than just that one image. We're going to uncover some hidden stories, some surprising facts that might just change how you see this ancient Maya city. Ready to get started?
Absolutely.
All right, so first things first, where exactly is Chichen Itza and what made it such a special place for the Maya Pili?
So Chichen Itza is in the Yucatan Peninsula, which is interesting geographically. Unlike a lot of places, rivers in the Yucatan run underground.
Oh, wow. Okay, so how did they get their water?
That's where these incredible sinkholes, called cenotes, come in. The Maya people relied on these cenotes for their water supply. They were vital to their survival.
Cenotes. I've seen pictures. They look incredible, like almost magical.
They are, and for the Maya, they weren't just practical. They saw them as sacred portals to the underworld.
Wow. So their source of life-giving water was also a gateway to the realm of the gods.
Exactly. You can imagine why those places held such deep spiritual significance. Of course, that significance also had a darker side. Archaeological evidence shows that the Maya performed sacrifices at the sacred cenote.
Yeah, I've heard about those, offerings to the rain god, check. It's both fascinating and a little unsettling to think about. Okay, so let's get back to the city itself. The name Chichen Itza, it actually tells us a bit about its history, right?
It does, at the mouth of the well of the Itza, that's what it means. And right there, we get a hint that the city's history is a bit more complex than it might seem. You see, the Hitza people weren't actually the original inhabitants.
Oh, interesting. So who was there before them?
Well, we believe the city had an earlier name, something like Seven Great House, which points to a whole pre-Itza era that we're still piecing together.
It's like a hidden layer of history. So when did the Itza come into the picture?
Around 900 AD, and that's when things get really interesting because their rise to power coincides with the collapse of other major Maya cities in the region.
So maybe Chichen Itza was involved in their decline. Competition for resources, maybe.
That's one of the big questions archaeologists and historians are wrestling with. There's this traditional story about a ruler named Hunak Seal.
Okay.
He was supposedly thrown into the sacred cenote as a sacrifice,
Oh, wow.
but he survived and then went on to conquer Chichen Itza.
That's incredible. Like something out of a movie. So is that how it went down?
Well, modern research is casting some doubt on that traditional narrative. It might not have been as straightforward as the legends suggest. And here's another interesting twist. Even after the Itza's power waned, people were still living in the Chichen Itza area when the Spanish arrived centuries later.
So I wasn't completely abandoned and lost to time.
Right, it's a place with a continuous story spanning centuries, and that story is literally etched into the stones of the city. All those different eras we talked about, they're reflected in Chichen Itza's incredible architecture.
It's like a giant puzzle.
Exactly. When you look at Chichen Itza, you see this mix of architectural styles. You've got the Puch style with those intricate geometric patterns, mosaics of tiny stones. Then there's the chain style, known for those serpent-mouthed doorways,
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
and masks of Chakik, the rain god. And then you have elements that clearly show influence from the Toltec civilization in central Mexico. So we're not just talking about aesthetics here. This mix is about trade, cultural exchange, maybe even conflict.
Okay, so let's get into some specifics. Where should we start?
Well, you can't talk about Chichen Itza without mentioning the Great North Platform.
Right. Home to El Castillo, the Great Ball Court, and the Temple of the Warriors. The Wikipedia article mentions some incredible details about those structures.
It does. Like inside El Castillo, there's this red jaguar throne adorned with jade. And the Great Ball Court has these carvings, and, well, they depict decapitated ball players.
Whoa.
Yeah, pretty intense imagery. And what's fascinating is that we see parallels between these structures and those found in Tula, a Toltec city in Mexico.
It really highlights those connections between different cultures in ancient Mesoamerica. Okay, so what about some of the other areas of the city? What about the Osario group?
Oh, the Asari group, that's another pyramid, and this one has a secret cave underneath. The explorer Edward Thompson, he thought it was the high priest's temple back in the 1800s.
Really?
Yeah, but archaeology's kind of debunked that, which just goes to show how much we're still learning about Chichen Itza.
Always more to discover. And speaking of misleading names, we can't forget Las Monjas,
The nunnery.
right? But it wasn't a nunnery at all, was it?
Nope, it was a palace.
Those early Spanish explorers, they got a few things wrong. Okay, and then there's El Caracol, that round building.
Ah, yes, possibly an observatory, maybe even focused on Venus.
I remember seeing a picture of El Caracol as a kid, and just being totally awestruck. I had no idea about all those layers of history and culture beneath that unique structure.
It's amazing to think about the Maya and their understanding of astronomy.
It really makes you realize there's so much more to Chichen Itza than just that one famous pyramid. Speaking of famous, how did it even become one of those new seven wonders of the world?
Oh, that's a fun story. So back in the early 2000s, there was this global campaign to select a new set of seven wonders.
Okay.
It was all based on popular vote. Millions of people around the world cast their ballots.
Wow, so it was like a worldwide popularity contest.
Kind of. There was a long list of amazing contenders: the Great Wall of China, the Colosseum in Rome, Machu Picchu.
Tough competition.
Definitely. But in the end, Chichen Itza earned its place, really a testament to its lasting appeal.
Well deserved. Okay, so we've talked about the pyramids, the temples, but what about the people? Like, who were the Maya people who actually lived here?
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the grandeur, but this was a thriving city.
So, like, what were their lives like? Were they all just priests and nobles?
Not quite. We know a lot about the elite, but the everyday people are harder to piece together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We do know they were incredibly skilled farmers, though. They had to adapt to the challenges of that Yucatan landscape. Remember, like the cenotes we talked about?
Oh, right.
They were key to agriculture, too, not just drinking water. The Maya created these sophisticated irrigation systems, channeling water from the cenotes to their crops.
It's amazing how they worked with the environment.
Absolutely. And they weren't just farmers. They were astronomers, mathematicians, artists, architects.
They really did it all.
They developed a complex writing system, created stunning murals and sculptures, and of course, built those incredible structures.
It's mind-blowing. Those carvings we talked about, the jaguar throne, the ball players, it gives you a glimpse into their whole world.
Exactly. The art, the iconography, it all provides these valuable insights. We see deities like Kukulcán, the feathered serpent god, and Chuk, the god of rain, really reflects their importance to the Maya. And don't forget about their understanding of astronomy.
Oh yeah, the Maya calendar. That was incredibly accurate.
It was super sophisticated system. They tracked the cycles of the sun, moon, planets, believe those movements influenced events on Earth. They could even predict solar eclipses.
Wow. So if most people weren't priests and nobles, what was daily life like for, like, the average person?
Well, based on other Maya sites, we can guess that most people were involved in agriculture, crafts, trade.
Okay. I'm picturing bustling marketplaces. Locally grown produce, handcrafted goods, maybe even like exotic stuff traded from faraway places.
Exactly. There would have been family life, religious rituals, community gatherings. I mean, these were people with hopes, dreams, struggles, just like us.
It's good to remember that. This place wasn't just about impressive buildings.
Right. It was a place where people lived their lives. That's what makes archaeology so important, trying to understand the lives of real people, connecting those stories to our own.
So why should our listener care about this ancient city today? What's the takeaway?
Well, for one, it's a reminder of the power of human creativity and innovation. These people built this thriving civilization without any modern technology. They made groundbreaking advances in astronomy, math, art.
Makes you feel a little less advanced, huh?
It's humbling, and it also serves as a cautionary tale, the collapse of that Maya civilization. It reminds us that even the most powerful societies are vulnerable.
Because of things like climate change?
Could be. Climate change, political upheaval, social unrest, who knows?
So are you saying we should see Chichen Itza as like a crystal ball for the future?
Not exactly, but studying the past can definitely give us some insights into the challenges we face today. We can learn about how societies are interconnected and their relationship with the environment. It might even help us find better ways to live on this planet.
And we can't forget the pure wonder of it all. Those ancient sites, they connect us to something bigger than ourselves. It's a reminder of, like, the vastness of time.
Totally. Chichen Itza, it's not just some ruins. It's a testament to the human spirit, a place that sparks our curiosity and makes us want to learn more.
It definitely does that. So we've given you the tour, shared some fascinating details, but now it's time for you to do your own deep dive. We've barely scratched the surface here.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, but there's always more to discover.
That Wikipedia article we keep mentioning, that's a great starting point if you want to learn more.
Definitely. And remember all those details about the jaguar throne, the carvings of those ball players, the glyphs in Akab Zib.
So many fascinating details.
It's like they're breadcrumbs leading you deeper into the mysteries of Chichen Itza.
I love that. So don't be afraid to, like, fall down the rabbit hole, dive into the Maya history, the mythology, the archaeology.
You never know. You might even uncover something that changes how we understand this entire civilization.
That's the beauty of exploring the past. There's always something new to find.
Absolutely. And what we focused on today was like the city itself, the architecture, the big picture of history. But there's another layer here.
Oh, you mean like the everyday lives of the people who lived there?
Exactly. The things that don't always make it into the history books. Like, what did they eat? What were their homes like? What did they worry about? What made them happy?
It's fascinating to think about.
What would it have been like to, walk through the marketplace, hear the sounds of their language, see their religious ceremonies?
It's like stepping back in time.
Their stories, their beliefs, their struggles, they're all pieces of the puzzle we're still putting together, and it's a puzzle worth solving.
So to our listeners out there, here's our challenge to you.
Go beyond the tourist stuff.
Go beyond the highlight reels, dive into the sources, ask questions, let your curiosity be your guide.
And remember, history isn't just dates and names, it's a living story. You have the power to connect with it, learn from it, be inspired by it.
We've had an amazing time exploring Chichen Itza with you today.
It's been a blast.
But now it's your turn. So get out there and happy exploring.